Hey everyone, welcome to episode 2. You always do that every week. Like you want to start a conversation just as I go live. You don't.
I can't decide on the Harry Potter glasses or the standard. So reading glasses versus computer glasses. I've always got the wrong pair on. Sorry. On you go. Sorry.
No. Let's look priorities, man. Priorities. Welcome to episode 240 of the Brigadier's Beer Comics and Assorted Geekery. Just a short episode this week because we've all got lives, and despite we're all just trying to get like things squeezed together. But yeah, we just wanted to talk about the beer and the comics and shit that we've enjoyed this week and what we're looking forward to this week. I'm Jeff. To my right, in the middle, politically and centralised within the within the frame, is Andrew, and on the right bit, as far as where we're not a member, the far right is former Kingdom FM cinema movie reviewer John. How are you guys doing?
I'm far right. Go Trump. Woo!
Woo! Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yeah. So.
My comic choice this week is my politics a wee bit. So just a wee bit.
Yeah.
We'll come to
it. Okay.
It's certainly not non-beer and comic related. It's been a week, but we're not political podcasts.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make sure I'm at the same height as you. Otherwise, it looks like I'm the one above all. So sitting in the middle of something. Is that what you do?
I remember as a joke once suggested that on Facebook that we did like a political motivated podcast called The Brigadier's Brew World Order, and literally got about 3 or 4 of our like regular comic book friends being like, "Please don't do that." I was like, "I'm joking."
Another thing is, right? I have never come across a more politically aware, astute, and capable of running the world group than 3 or 4 guys after 6 pints. They just. I'll tell you how I would do it, Jeff.
I think some of like the choices that go on in global politics seem to be reflective of 3 guys sitting after 6 pints and then making decisions. So I don't know. You maybe stumbled on someone there.
People sitting going, "Kim, what would be funny?"
If they're like this astrological game of life, like a board game where you're just like, "Let's do this," and it's like, yeah. What are you guys drinking this week? Are you guys on a beer?
I am on a beer. I've got 2. I've got one open at the moment. I've got Hobgoblin Ruby beer. Obviously, I was just at the supermarket this week, so I've not got a massive choice. I've got a Frauk in the wings.
That's a good one.
It's a long time favourite of mine. I know it's always a good beer, so whenever I see it, I grab one. So, but this is dark, fruity, and flavoursome. Fruity, it's a wee bit fruity. A ruby beer.
Yeah,
it's fruity.
It's plum, isn't it? Ruby. It's searching what the fruit would be.
It's nice. It's got flavour. I've become really disillusioned of mass-produced watery pish beer. After drinking them for many years, obviously I walked away from Tennent's many years, but even like say, Best and Guinness now are not tickling the taste buds like they used to. I don't know if my taste buds are. As you get older, do your taste buds get less? I know I can eat stronger curries than I used to be able to, and I'm wondering if the same thing's happening to beer. But more and more mass-produced beer tastes like water to me. I'm just like, so I'm craving that flavour explosion.
Yeah, I imagine so. I imagine there's something in there. There's scientists that will be able to attest to what you're saying.
It's like I can't drink lemonade anymore. It has to be ginger beer. I need something flavours.
A little bit of zing.
Can you drink normal orange juice? It has to be Sunny D. I need that fruit sugar explosion. Do you even get Sunny D anymore? I don't know.
I have no idea.
No idea.
Massive in the 90s.
I remember there being one summer in particular where it was like Sunny D white chocolate flips, the chocolate covered pretzels.
Oh,
you do still get them, but they're like that was like my summer obsession. I want to say it was 1997 because it was the same summer that Hansen's Umbop was out and the Godzilla remake.
The Roland Emmerich one, the finest movie that's ever been.
I want to think that all sort of happened at the same time. Let me Google it. Umbop.
I'm just imagining a young Jeff bopping along to Umbop, hiked up on Sunny D, just flipping those flips.
I bet he had long hair as well. I bet he had like baseball cap and long hair and long flowing locks. But if you see a picture of baby Jeff in 1997, he would look like a young member of Hanson.
I'm trying to think, I'm gonna in my head. This is all happening in the same summer, but it's maybe like like when you what's that TV program that's set in the 80s, and he always says, "Oh, it was 1980 something," and then before he starts telling like a story.
How I Met Your Mother.
Nah, something like that. Yeah. Okay, so I've got the lyrics. The Goldbergs, yeah.
I actually really liked the first 2 or 3 seasons. I really liked that. But again, that kid grew up. The kid's the same age as us, basically, John. He started in '84 when he was 12, sort of thing. And the whole VHS videos and the clothing that they wore, and these shell suits, everything. Just But then the wee cute laddie, like after 4 seasons or something like that, suddenly he's 16 and he was 6'1", and just like that. And it's just like it wasn't the same anymore.
That always happens. It's like Stranger Things, where they're all it's all supposed to be set over like the same year or 2.
Yeah.
And fucking Cobra Kai, a 6-year long program that's set in the same like year and a half.
The most jarring one was Lost. The whole thing's set over the course of about a year, and they cast Walt for the first season. Michael's son, is it? And he was like, he's just a young black kid or something like that. And 6 months later, in real life, but 6 seasons in the show, he's like an NBA basketball player. He was like 6'3" or something like that.
I remember there being one episode in particular where he hadn't been seen in like 6 months, and he came back, and you're like, Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
So I just did a bit of research there, and Godzilla came out in 1998, and Umbop came out in 1997. So yeah, I'm just misremembering that period of the late 90s. But
seems like longer.
All that Sunny D went into your brain. That's what happened.
The sugar rush. That's what it was.
White
chocolate and Sunny Delight. It was just like, yay.
The other song I remember from that time was "Because We Want To" by Billy Piper, which did come out that summer of the same summer that Godzilla came out. It's a smashing summer. Billy Piper's releasing music. Roland Emmerich was taking over the Godzilla franchise.
What age were you that summer?
11. I was going into primary 7.
Wow.
Equivalent for me would have been like 1983 or something like that. It would have been the year of the Jam or Debbie Harry or something like that.
Yeah, so infinitely more cooler. Yeah,
infinitely cooler. Was
Jam, strawberry jam, raspberry jam.
Yeah, marmalade. It was a band called Marmalade. Not Lady Marmalade. Don't get mixed up.
No.
Yeah. Sometimes forget how very, 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 very young you actually are, Jeff.
No, I don't feel young, man.
By comparison.
When I actually had a conversation with a colleague at my work recently, where she was like, "Yeah, Jeff, you remind me so much of my dad. It's scary." And so obviously my response was the automatic dad response of, "Is he a fucking legend like I am as well?" Like, and then she burst out laughing. And she was like, "When I told my dad the same thing, he said the exact same thing in response. So I take it he's a total legend like I am, then, yeah." So,
you do go through this thing sometime between about 35 and 45, depending on how much you are young at heart lad you are. When you start a new job or something like that, you go through that period where you go from thinking, "Oh, they still think of me as a viable partner, sort of potential," to they thinking as their dad.
Yeah, I've entered the dad zone. Like,
if once you've entered the dad zone, you're in the dad zone. Oh yeah,
it's the right place to be. It's fine. But,
my habitual response to that, and it's not PC at all, so I apologise to everyone. But if somebody ever goes, "Oh yeah, you could be my dad," I usually go, "Well, show me a picture of your mum and I'll check." So. What can I say?
There we go. So I'm drinking Vocation Brewery's hop skip and juice. which is a hazy pale ale that I got from Asda, 4 cans for £6. Actually bought it last Saturday to watch the wrestling, and then never got around to watching the wrestling. So I'm still working through the cans. Yeah.
That's a bonus then.
Yeah. No wrestling and beer. So there's a big wrestling show on this weekend, and the reason why Stu's not joining us is because he's actually at wrestling in Leven right now. So.
I'm hearing John Cena turned heel.
He did. First time in his career. It was a big deal.
Yeah.
That was the show.
Yeah.
That was the show I was going to stay up and watch, but I was in the clothes, and it was just like that.
It's no coincidence that, he basically is like a wallflower. He just flips and flops. He's been Mr. Nice Guy all these years, and now it's like he's mad at John Cena.
Well, it's like his last year, so he's on his like this year's called 2025 is like the John Cena retirement tour, but he's doing like one of every kind of match type.
Right.
He can. So like he did a Royal Rumble, he did an Elimination Chamber. He's now obviously he won his Elimination Chamber match, and then turned into a bad guy. So he's now he now gets to wrestle for the world title at Mania, which will be good fun. Like,
world champion before he retires.
Yeah, I think so. I think if he does, if he wins the world title, he matches Ric Flair for the most world titles ever won by one person.
Really?
So, yeah.
I don't know what I haven't watched wrestling for a very long time. As I've said many times on here, I gave up 25, 30 years ago or something like that. So I only really know John Cena as an actor.
Yeah, a good one though.
Sorry?
He's good though.
It's a good one. All wrestlers try to be actors at one point, towards the end of their career. And very few made it. Andre the Giant had one amazing role. But, Hulk Hogan, most of them were pap until The Rock came along. But now, John Cena and I suppose to a certain extent, Dave Bautista have carved out niches for themselves as actors. And he's a likable guy. I think that's the thing what The Rock and John Cena sort of have in common. They're very, very likable people. So
I think they're both quite good at like laughing at themselves as well. I think obviously the whole thing about particularly those that watch Peacemaker, I think is like he does come across like John Cena being a dickhead rather than what I mean, and that's basically it's fun watching a guy that I'd spent most of my teenage and early 20s watching this guy be the hand-picked. Folk wanted him to be the new Rock so bad that he was shoved down our throats for like a decade, and you're like to the point that fans started to resent that. Like, no, we want to cheer our own people. We don't want you to tell us who to cheer for, which is who John Cena always was. So then when you see him like Peacemaker being an absolute tool, it's brilliant. It's so funny. Yeah. So exciting stuff in wrestling. Good beer, by the way, Vocation Brewery. Like, talk about this every week now. You can buy 4 cans of that for like £5 or £6 in Asda, and like it's as good as any like beer. To be honest, like 5.7%.
I got my beers from Tesco's this week, and I was very disappointed. I went to the Beers of the World and tried to pick up some different beers, and in the beer section and then in the Beers of the World section, they just got a massive amount of punk, a BrewDog sort of beers, and I didn't want a BrewDog beer.
Tell you what, I had like, and I deliberately picked it because I love them. 71 Brewing. But I was in a pub this week very briefly, and they had 71 on tap. And I don't want to name the pub, and I don't want to name like how much I paid for it or the name of the beer. I was really excited to see it. It was a New England IPA by 71 Brewing, and this pub were not looking after their beers very well. And I maybe drank half of it before I was like, no, this is fucking horrible. And I actually left the pub. I left the pub quite soon afterwards. That's
not good.
Very, very, very rarely happened to me. So let's change around a bit. I'm loving like Asda and Tesco's and that for beer. But like you say, like you do have to kind of run the gauntlet between like the big supermarkets will go, all right, craft beer, what have we got? And they'll just give you BrewDog and William Brothers stuff. And obviously, I'd lean towards Williams Brothers in that option.
It's a wee bit lazy of me because I mean I live in Rosyth. I'm 15 minutes outside Dunfermline. You know the Caledonian Craft Brewhouse there has got hundreds of beers, and I should really just make more of an effort to go in there and pick up a few different beers every time. But it's just so easy. Just sometimes when you're out and about, and you're getting something for your dinner, and you just go to Tesco's.
Yeah. I'm the same. I live around the back of Bonanza, so to make the very same choice, very similar all the time. So yeah. What have you guys been up to, like comic-wise, and that? Have any of you guys been reading anything this week?
I have. I want to talk about a couple of things. First, I remember a couple of weeks ago when I was on here, and I talked about the Superman Earth one. I finished it. James Straczynski did a brilliant job. Did he sue Man of Steel? Because it does seem to me that they stole every single plot point from that book.
There's a few Superman stories out there that are very similar to that one as well. There's another one called Superman Birthright, which was very much like, it actually came out before Straczynski's Earth One, which kind of was very similar. I think there's a lot of kind of similar plot lines.
It had the Planet Buster. It had the searching for Superman because they were trying to kill the last son of Krypton. It's just so many different, similar plot points.
But they borrow from this.
Sorry,
they do borrow. They do like, and I wouldn't be surprised if you look at the credits. Can't remember who we had on. We had somebody on the show a couple of years ago, Andrew, who had been involved in the creation of Carnage. So, like, I think as long as like they make a nominal payment and reference their work in the credits of the movie, they can, So, like, they will like Bendis is like quite an obvious one, but like Spider-Man: Homecoming has credited Bendis in the credits. He's in there underneath story by.
I think you can see the kind of like the Matt Fraction in the Hawkeye TV show was kind of obvious and incredibly so. I can see John as this, which was a great run. Don't get me wrong. If I was going to see any Hawkeye story put into things, it would be the Life as a Weapon run. But and I'm trying to think other ones, obvious ones like Daredevil.
Born Again,
fundamentally already did. No, they did. Yeah. They fundamentally already did Born Again in Daredevil season 3, doesn't it?
Season 3,
So
we can't talk about it because you guys haven't seen it yet. So
I haven't seen it. No, I'm waiting. I'm not up for. It's the same with Reacher. I think I'm not up for like waiting a week. That's so like last. I'm not even last century, last millennia. I'm to wait a week to see what happens in a TV show and stuff like this. No, I want it all. I want it all dropped. So. There's a couple of shows which are on at the moment, which Severance and Reacher and Daredevil and things like that, which I'm waiting for the entirety to drop before I watch them. So, but comics-wise, I've been reading a marvelous book. This is John Burns
that's good.
from the 90s, Alpha Flight, the finest superhero group. Canada's premier superhero. Obviously, I'm big on today I'm reading about superheroes from Canada. I went to Costa's this morning and got myself I'm the only one. Went to Costa this morning and got myself a Canadiano, which is it's very similar to an Americano, but it's a little less bitter. This has got some of my favourite. Like I forget about these things. You forget about who's in it, because some of my favourite characters, Sasquatch. In this thing, something like that. I've got like 3 action figures that I own, and one of them's is a Sasquatch action figure. Loved me some Alpha Flight back in the day, and I'm reacquainting myself with this book. So that's what I've been reading, and it's really good. The first it's John Byrne did this one, John.
John Byrne, yeah. Is it the first 12 issues? Yeah.
First 12, yeah.
Yeah.
John Byrne, Chris Claremont with all pencils by John Byrne as well. John Byrne was great for some of this. It's proper 80s.
No, hold on. Bloody soul,
artwork. It's really good stuff.
Spun out of the X-Men comics, wasn't it? There was an X-Men crossover. Well, Guardian started an X-Men first. That's Wolverine came from Department H before they entered the Weapon X program.
I think they were, they were trying to sort of establish multiple X-Men franchises. Sort of at that time. I think in the 80s, it was all about the franchise for Marvel. You had, your West Coast Avengers and X-Men, and you had the Future Foundation, Fantastic Four.
Was it the Supreme, whatever they're called as well?
X-Factor, X-Force. Sorry.
What was the government one? Obviously,
Mutants.
X Factor.
X Factor.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, it's just all these ones. But yeah, this was just it's just great. It was always like not the earth shattering stuff that they had and things like this, but just sort of more local, if that makes sense. Yeah, I just really liked it. It was the first experience of a gay superhero in X Factor as well.
Have you read up to the Snowbird episode where she fights in the snow?
I haven't, not yet. No, I'm only about three issues in.
Well, just wait. It's I thought there was a printing error when I read it. It's just white with speech bubbles. That's it. It's pretty genius. Yeah, Snowbird. Yeah. She fights in the Arctic, and basically it's just like 4 pages of white, which is hilarious.
Oh, you see, it's a wee bit sort of thing. So I'm looking forward to that.
This
is my choice of comic this week. It was a Canadian comic made by an American company, but there we go. We do what we can. So that's my choice this week.
I've been reading. I picked up a 4-issue miniseries a couple of summers ago. Boom Studios, Harrower.
Oh,
nice slasher comic. The covers are kind of really nice. So kind of look at that severed head at the party. That's awesome. Really nice, really nice.
Yeah,
covers. It's 4-issue miniseries, and it just rattles along. You can read it issue after issue very, 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 very quickly. Really good, yeah. Highly recommended. Horror with a new villain called the Silencer.
It's not a type of comic that I drink a lot. Like I read a lot. I read horror novels. I've never been a massive fan of horror movies. I didn't like jump scares. And I didn't like to feel, that kind of feel, that pit of your stomach feeling when you think something's going to happen, and you're like the tense anxiety. So I'm like, I didn't like the anxiety that comes with horror movies. But I do read horror books by Stephen King and things like that. I've never thought about many horror comics, occasional but very light-hearted ones, and things like that.
No, I think they lean more towards the horror novel than the horror movie. Your horror comics, like
jump scares didn't work in comics. Yeah. I would not have thought that.
No, you can't do jump scare in a comic. No, but you can kind of go,
it's all about capturing mood, isn't it? It's about capturing and maintaining mood and dread and like. And
this basically it reads like you're watching a 90s slasher film. It's really, really quick paced. Highly recommended. Harrower by Boom Studios, very, very good. But I know what you mean, Andrew. Yeah, horror films. You can only watch so many. I did them a couple of Halloweens ago. The 31 days. 31 films, 31 days. But what I did was I made sure to mix up a proper horror film with a light-hearted horror film, kind of like a Shaun of the Dead, and then a proper really psychological intense one, so that I wasn't something like that. Yeah. Like a Scream versus an Exorcist, where it's just kind of like. So it's not all doing.
Shaun of the Dead. I like the. Is it the Nice House on the Lake? What's it called? Is it the House on the Lake or? The one
Nice House on the Lake, yeah.
Is that? No, that's not a comic though. I'm talking about a movie. I might be thinking of the wrong thing.
Cabin in the Woods.
I'm thinking of the comic, yeah. Cabin in the Woods, yeah.
So when they have to keep feeding the tropes, they have to feed the house tropes in order to
to stop the world from coming to an end, sort of thing, and it was all.
Yeah, so something fun like that, or with an interesting hook, and then something that kind of makes you feel a bit kind of whoa. Yeah, but not so much gory, but more psychological, more kind of like just getting in your mind kind of thing, So I made sure to mix it up. So, but I went purely by the same image as a book by its cover, but obviously the covers just stood out to me. Yeah, because the bright colours. So that's for me. Thank you very much. So I'm very much artwork orientated, so it doesn't bother me who writes a comic.
a final word about horror movies. I remember when I first got my very first VHS video player back in the sort of 1980s, and we got 2 videos from the local shop, A's Ad Video, and one of them was Bud, Bud somebody and Terry somebody. These 2 Julie guys, and it was about them fighting over who had won a June buggy. Hilarious, like comedy or something like that. And the second one that we picked up was this movie called Basket Case, about a guy who carried a basket around with him. John's seen it, Jeff's probably not. And it was the first funny horror movie that I saw on VHS. It's about a guy, I'm not going to, it's no spoilers, the movie's from about 1980 or something like that, but the guy had been a conjoined twin and they'd separated them. But he carried his brother around, what was left of him, in a basket. And at night time when he was asleep, the brother would come out the basket and do horrible, heinous things. Terrified. So,
there's I listen to a podcast that talks about horror movies quite a lot, and like they do try and like they talk about like the best horror movies, and like I don't know, like we've talked about this before, but like I'd rather read the Wikipedia article about a horror movie than actually watch the horror movie. And I'm like, oh, you read that, you're like, oh, I know what the twist is. That's fine. Move on.
I like the recent remakes of it. I like them, but then I know the story, and I was never going to be surprised by it. And I was not really, apart from the jump scare, that's I liked it all.
Well, I watched Abigail this week. Funnily enough, the name of my kid. I watched the film Abigail by the Radio Silence team. Very fine film. Do you know what it's about?
Is that the one about the doll or something like that? Or
No, she's a ballerina. Abigail, she's a ballerina who gets kidnapped by a squad who are trying to ransom her back. And it turns out something different about this kid.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of fun. It's from the Radio Silence team who did Scream 5 and 6 and Ready or Not. Have you seen Ready or Not with Samara Weaving and Adam Brody?
Is that like in a hotel or something like that?
They're just married.
Married. His family.
She's a bride. She meets the family, and then something a little bit scary happens. Yeah, good.
They need to watch more films. Haven't.
Samara Weaver, she's one of those ones that's like, it's like the girl from Sex Education and Samara Weaver and Margot Kidder, Margot Robbie and stuff like this. And if it wasn't for the fact that they've got different names, I'd be convinced they were just all the same person. To the extent I think they were like, some of them are, they put them in the Barbie movie because they just look like Margot Robbie. Samara Weaver.
Yeah, the one from Sex Education was in the Barbie movie just for that.
Just because she looks a lot like.
She's of a type that was required for that scene. Comics wise, I read 4 issues. I've got it on my tablet, but I read it on my tablet, and Sonny's got my tablet, so I can't bring it down. I read a series called Power Rangers Prime, which is the current run from Boom, the same guys that did the book that John was talking about, the same guys that did Harrower. So Boom Studios are the guys that have the license for the Power Rangers comics, and they've had them for a long time. And they are excellent, and I dipped in and out of them because they're brilliant. But I thought I'd give Power Rangers Prime a go because the first 4 issues, it's just at the moment there's only 4 issues out, so I thought, I really enjoyed it. Set an alternative universe where there haven't, where the Power Rangers haven't really existed, because in the 50s an alien race landed. Actually, the same alien race that the Zordon. I don't know why everyone knows they're fucking Power Rangers, but Zordon's a big head in a jar that like talks to them and gives them their powers. But his race come to Earth and like occupy it and basically turn it into a colony. They colonize Earth, and as a way of maintaining power, very much. I think it's kind of reflective of like, I don't know. It's trying to make a political statement about countries in the world that historically colonize people, and then like, but what they do is they realize that they colonize Earth, and then realize that the Power Rangers are their greatest threat, so they ban Power Rangers from existing, and that's it, and that's the premise. So the Power Rangers are the Power Rangers are like an underground like rebel fucking group that like, and there's not many of them left, and like and they're hunted down, and it's just good fun. I really enjoyed it. The government have in the comic that I've just read, issue 2 or 3. I read all 4, but like they bring in the idea that they need their own superpowered humans to take, to police the world. So they use the VR troopers, who are like, for anyone that knows, the VR troopers were the failed second show that the guys in the 90s when they tried to like
Poundland Power Rangers, are they?
Oh yeah. Well, there was that period after the Power Rangers were that big massive success in the 90s, 92, 93, and became like a worldwide sensation. Every television studio in America would go to Japan and try and find another costumed superhero series that they could like chop all the Japanese actors out of, and then like film the Americans changing into, and then and it's the process that still gets used today. Anyone that knows the Power Rangers, it's a Japanese show. An American company buys the episodes, cuts out all the Japanese actors, and then fills it with clips of Americans that'll go, let's turn into superheroes. And once they turned into those superheroes, all the footage is the Japanese stuff. That they, and it's been going on for like 30 years. Yeah. By the Yellow Ranger in the very first series of Power Rangers, the Yellow Ranger is a woman, but then when she morphs, she turns when the American woman morphs into her yellow Power Ranger costume, she has a penis. It's because in the person in the suit in the Japanese footage was a man. So
those suits are tight, so I'm assuming it was an obvious a man.
Well, that's why the Pink Ranger had a skirt. If you watch the original Power Ranger episodes, the Pink Ranger has a skirt, and it's not to obviously the storyline version would be, because she in Japan would be, she's the female Power Ranger. But also, it's a really good way to hide the male actor, the guy in the physical suit. It's a good way to hide his penis, is to put a skirt over the costume. So
it's just that 1980s. That's what they did. How do we make sure? John will get this reference as well. How do we make sure they know it's a woman? We'll put a bow on her hair. That's the Miss Pac-Man from.
There's a fun Power Ranger sketch online. It's a comedy sketch, and it's Zordon is a racist.
Oh, I've seen that one. Yeah,
right. You see it? Yeah, it's like, and we'll make the Asian Ranger yellow, and the black guy is the Black Ranger. It's like, hang on a minute, and he's sexist. But we'll make the girl the Pink Ranger. And it's like, hang on.
To that extent, though, then he's like, oh yeah, and they're like, what about these guys? And there's another black guy there, and they're like, yeah, we're going to make him the second Black Ranger. It's
pretty funny. There's a guy who was in God was naming food, and he was like, "This is easy, This one's orange, carrot, fuck."
But no, a really good superhero series. I like it's a good comic series. I quite like the idea that they brought in the shit Power Rangers as like antagonists. I thought that was quite a nice wee spin, and that the idea is that the VR troopers, who were always like supposed to be the new Power Rangers in the 90s, and it lasted. They basically ran out of Japanese footage to Book Butcher, and then gave up after 2 seasons. But the idea that these guys are in this comic as the government-funded police force hunting down Power Rangers is a nice wee spin. But now reading that, I'm like, oh, please bring in like fucking Masked Rider and all these other shitty like big bad Beetleborgs. So
I want loads of stuff for the 1980s for Japan brand. How have we still not got a live action Ninja Force Gatchaman, like a G-Force live action movie after all this time?
Battle of the Planets, you mean?
Yeah. Ninja Force Gatchaman. Get it right.
Well, there's 3 versions of that. There's the Ninja Force Gatchaman, and then there's Battle of the Planets, and then there's another one called G-Force. And G-Force isn't the same cartoon as Battle of the Planets. I thought it was.
They used a lot of the same footage. Oh no, Battle of the Planets is what I'm talking about. But the again,
it's the same footage. Yeah, but
if you watch,
change the characters and stuff, yeah,
YouTube, you watch the Japanese subtitled ones, and it's a completely different story.
Yeah.
In America, they just sort of sliced in a robot talking.
7's Art 7.
Yeah, to explain what was going on, and then just sort of bring it in, very similar to Power Rangers. They would just shoehorn some footage in.
Yeah. They did that with loads of stuff. Like, even like Studio Ghibli stuff before Studio Ghibli just became like before it became like the powerhouse in the US that it was always in Japan. They like American film companies, American animation houses would buy the Japanese footage and re-edit it so that it made so it filled. So anyone that's watched these Studio Ghibli movies and that, and I love them, but they don't follow the three act structure that we are accustomed to in Western cinema, where your intro.
Japanese movies and Japanese comics certainly much longer form. Like their comics from the earliest times, like American comics right up until the 80s, till probably Secret Wars and the Clone Wars and things like this, Spider-Man Clone Wars. I'm talking about this. They were very much comic of the week. You maybe get 2 comics in a row which are attached, but apart from that, you only get 6-issue runs, 12-issue runs as a matter of course.
Yeah.
Whereas Japan, from the first moment that they were making Japanese manga, they were thinking in long form, and that's why some of these ones now is 700 or 800 issues in, and still following the same story run as it started.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, much more. I don't know how you would describe it. The much more long form storytelling is obviously superior, and that's why it's been adopted now in movies and TV shows and things like this. The sort of 80s style TV that we had, which was Monster of the Week or Car Chase of the Week or Police Procedural of the Week, has largely died.
Yeah.
And the shows which are sort of high profile are 12 episodes, one mystery.
And they were planned in advance, so they know what their 6th season arc is going to look like, rather than
Which doesn't work when it gets cancelled like 2 seasons in or 3 seasons in.
You should have end, but
But you don't get to the series where if you could switch on a TV show from the 70s or 80s, an episode of the Rockford Files or Dukes of Hazzard or TJ Hooker or something like that, and you wouldn't have needed to see the previous one or the following one or something like that. There was no.
That was by design as well, though. Was that not to do with? That was all to do with what they called it when they
syndication.
Syndication, yes, it was.
If something's going to be on every day for the rest of the time, then it needs to be just that if you stumble upon it, like Friends. Mm-hmm. Apart from the sort of story beats in the background about who was having a relationship with who, you can almost watch an episode of that completely disconnected from. It's not. I don't think it's aged particularly well. I think it gets a lot of grief at the moment. It's certainly, it's not there with Frasier.
Yeah.
But
I think it's just because on like when you take a step back and you look and you reflect on the characters and stuff, they're not very good people in Friends. Particularly Ross, he's like quite a creepy, like self-absorbed, like. It was a product of its time, I suppose. So.
Yeah, that's everything of its time, and you have to sort of view it through the lens of its time.
Totally.
Yeah.
What else have you guys been up to? What have you been watching? What have you been enjoying?
Probably similar to you, Jeff. I watched the season 4 finale of Shorsey. I've now. In a 2.5 week period, I've watched 4 seasons through twice. I've watched every video on the Shorsey channel on YouTube, and I'm desperate for more. Jared Kiso, the creator of Letterkenny and Shorsey, is an absolute genius as far as I'm concerned, and I just want more of it. Yeah. But Shorsey's just so good.
It's so good. Did he like spoilers for anyone that's not seen season 4 of Shorsey yet? But did he cheat on Laura?
No, fuck no.
I know there was that scene where he was sitting on the bike, looking out, standing in the back, and then the next. Yeah,
she's told him to come around, and basically done the whole, the hockey mum thing. I don't want my neighbours to see you coming in. He's went straight round to Laura's.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if it was implied or it was meant to make you guess, but
no, he's a good guy. He's not that guy. Who's
that's what I thought. The Lagerlogs are letting us know that new champions have been crowned and leaving.
Hold on a minute. I'm going to phone the 7 people who care. Get your wrestling off our comics and beer comics show.
But yeah, Shorsey season 4 was amazing, and it did that thing. It took 6 episodes to get to the point that had been, which I was kind of like that was very Cobra Kai esque was that like let's introduce a new concept at the end of last season, and basically the character has to then spend 6 episodes getting to the point that everyone wants him to anyway.
Yeah. I think that the final episode, like I said, it goes through everybody telling him he should be doing this, he should be doing this, you should be doing this, you're really good at this, you should be doing this. Because it's a show based on the same jokes repeated all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's no Little Britain sort of thingy like that, but there's jokes told 1 episode, 2 episodes, 3 episodes, 4, and they just keep on repeating them. And it's that repetition which makes it great. I see John's eyes going unfocused because he doesn't watch it. And he's not
John, you don't watch Shorsey, man. Just trust us. And just
I don't need to know. I don't need to. I've heard everything about the season 4 finale, so I'm sorted. It's like Jeff reading. I don't think that's like Jeff reading horror Wikipedias.
He did the thing that they're asking him to do, but we're not giving anything away.
Yeah, no, man. Like you just need to watch an episode, and you're like, oh yeah, I get why this is good. Like,
I think for me, it's just he went from being like Shorsey the character I first appeared in Letterkenny as a kind of one-dimensional, wisecracking double entendre foil for the two skater kids in Letterkenny, the 2 hockey kids in Letterkenny, and he's morphed into the most likable character on TV for me. Just this old school goon, what they call him. Like Sean William Scott and thing of that I played in the movies. They didn't have that in hockey anymore. That's a dying breed because they're not allowed to fight like that anymore.
Yeah.
Things like this. And yeah, he's just so rounded and honest and open and funny.
Right.
Just funny.
Yeah. Just his presence is amazing. Like
Yeah. Well, I started Severance.
Oh yeah, man.
Season 1.
2 episodes in. Season 1. I'm 2 episodes in. I'm intrigued so far. I'm like, ooh, what's happening? But before I started Severance, I watched all 2 seasons that currently are available of Shrinking.
Oh,
have you watched Shrinking?
I've watched the first season of Shrinking. I've not watched the second season yet. I understand it's available.
So good. It's so good. It's very much, obviously it's written by and created by the Ted Lasso team, and it feels like Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
A little bit in that, it's about people. Just because it's about, psychiatrists doesn't necessarily mean that's what the show's about. Much in the same way Ted Lasso was based around football, and it wasn't really about football, yeah. So very much the same thing. It's just kind of a hook for the show. So if you've seen Ted Lasso, you will very much like Shrinking, and Harrison Ford is spectacular.
I've never heard of it, and I'm looking for something new to watch.
Harrison Ford is spectacular in it.
Jason Segel.
The character's played by Jason Segel, who, again, one of the most likable guys on screen. He can carry any scene on his own. One of the main writers on it, the guy who convinced Harrison Ford to be on it, is the main writer, Jeff, and that's Brett Goldstein, who's Roy Kent from Ted Lasso. Does he cameos in season 2? Doesn't he?
No.
He cameos in season 2, doesn't he? Brett Goldstein.
He does. He does.
I don't know if it's a cameo or if it's a large role or something like that, because I haven't seen season 2 yet. But
he cameos in season 2, yeah. So the big surprise is Ted McGinley, who is the neighbor in Married with Children. Yeah. But in Married with Children, he's like the neighbor, Bud's neighbor. Haven't really seen him in much since then, although I have since found out that he was up for the Dr. Cox role in Scrubs and didn't get it. Well, it's Bill Lawrence, same person who did Ted Lasso and Shrinking. So he comes in as the neighbor's husband,
Jefferson.
Jefferson.
Yeah, I remember liking him.
So he had a role at the West Wing as well as a guy who had his own political talk show.
And he's was a handsome Dan in Wayne's World. Are you handsome Dan? Like, no idea.
He was handsome Dan,
yeah. So he's in it. He just gets blinders, and then his role is expanded in season 2, and it's like fantastic. So Shrinking, Jeff. It's on Apple TV Plus. but I'm sure you can find it on another channel.
The neighbour, again, it's all about connections. I think they're talking about it, but the neighbour, like his wife, Handsome Dan's wife, in Shrinking, was she no Cox's wife in Scrubs?
Yes, and is married to Bill Lawrence, the creator of Scrubs and Shrinking.
Okay.
And Zach Braff directs episodes.
Okay.
And
I'll absolutely give it a
also,
comment. I am looking for something else, so.
Shrinking, I watched the first season. Shrinking's great.
Janitor from Scrubs, he's in it as well.
Hey.
Yep.
Yeah, Neil Flynn. So it's honestly Shrinking. It's half an hour an episode. 10 episodes season 1, 12 episodes season 2. Just some of the best.
Brett Goldstein does, like, can do no wrong. And I'm even talking about Super Bob.
Super Bob.
Brett Goldstein's just brilliant. But Severance as well, John, is great. It's a slow burn a wee bit, but by the end, you'll be absolutely desperate to find out what happens next.
No, I'm 2 seasons, 2 episodes, and I'm like, yeah.
And the acting quality they've got in that as well. Obviously, it's Adam Scott's the main sort of character, but the supporting people as well. Christopher Walken's in it, is he?
Christopher Walken's just popped up in episode 2. Yep, we've got John Turturro just being weird as hell, loving it.
Turturro's fucking great in it. Aye,
it's
really, really good.
Yeah,
really good. And again,
I do fancy it. The second season's just come out, isn't it? I don't know. I do fancy it, but no, I'll definitely give Shrinking a go. Talk about Harrison Ford. I've seen the new Captain America movie. Has anyone seen that?
No,
I haven't seen it yet. No.
That's all right. It's not the best thing. I went with Sunny to see it in 4DX.
Over the chairs.
Yeah,
oh my
god! Great fun. Yeah. It's good fun. There was a guy it was quite odd though. There was a guy. It was quite a quiet screen, and the guy a couple rows in front of us was on his phone. And I actually went forward and I was like, "Excuse me, man, can you turn your phone off?" And he did. And then a couple of minutes later, I was just like, "Can you turn your phone off, please?" Thinking he mustn't have heard me. Just didn't do anything. And then eventually his phone went away. And then about 20 minutes later, by this point, though, like you're expecting it. And then the guy behind me is like, who's with his kids, is like, "Turn your phone off." And then it was like, I was speaking to Claire about it afterwards. I was like, I didn't really know what to do. I was like, if I went away and I could have gone and had a word, but he might have been a fucking lunatic. But I was like,
never know.
Yeah. And I was like, and I was like, if I'd left the screen and went to get somebody, they might have been a lunatic to whoever I got. It was just a really awkward situation. Like I hadn't really expected that. But like 4DX, you're paying like 16, 17 quid a ticket. So it was like, it wasn't cheap. Like,
yes, that was 20 years. That was 20 years of my life. As you know, you worked in cinemas as well. So you would have been the person that somebody came and got,
Where's 4DX? Is that in?
There's Glasgow. There's 2 in Scotland. There's one in Glasgow. I went to the one in Fountain Bridge.
Which one? 4DX? Did you say that's the thing?
That's one of the seats move.
The seats move. It's like the.
Fair enough. I've never been to one of them.
Yeah, the seats move. There's air. There's like it's good. It's an experience. I don't think I would go to every film in that format, but it's good fun.
They warn you before you go in. Look, it's an experience. And I watched when I went to see Ghostbusters, the Frozen Empire, and there was a Kung Fu Panda 4, 5, 6, whatever trailer came on, and that was like a workout from my back. I was like, "What the hell is happening here? What's going on?" And then Ghostbusters started, and it was like it's like the market. You know, the things are starting moving. There's steam. There's smoke. There's jets of water firing at you. There's smells. There's somebody punching you in your back.
That was it. There was during the fight scene between Red Hulk and Falcon. There was a couple of bits in the back.
Falcon.
So sorry, Captain America. No, don't be that guy. Captain America. Actually, fuck you. But I don't want to spoil anything. So, but there's also really.
So you're not accepting the black guy as Captain America then?
No, I'm completely accepting the guy. How did you know? Where did you know I was talking about Sam Wilson when I said Falcon?
Oh, is there another Falcon?
Yeah, Falcon.
You got a new Falcon in it as well, is there? Right, okay.
Yeah, it was in the TV show as well.
He was in the TV show, so that's not spoilers. Thank you.
Falcon is the Winter Soldier TV show.
Yeah. No, Captain America: The Winter Soldier is what
one of the soldier guys that.
Yeah.
It was his kind of the guy that was on the end of his thing. Oh, I remember that guy, the Hispanic guy or something like that. Isn't it?
The guy that was on the end of his thing. Okay, then.
Right, in the first episode, when Falcon was
his ear,
That program,
we're approaching City Airport.
His man in the chair.
City Airport, Sam, you better not go in. That guy.
The guy in the chair.
Right.
But no,
I didn't realise he was in there, and he's Falcon.
It's a good film. There's a really cool scene where Captain America's fighting jets, and that was probably when I felt like the movie was its most kind of like that 4DX format was like the most impressive, because he's like flying, and then airplanes are flying and blowing up and shit, and that was pretty cool. When the chairs were doing all this alongside, there's some really cool camera angles as well, where the chairs started to kind of twist to the side as the camera turned and stuff, which was really smart. But yeah, as I say, a bit ruined by a guy that wouldn't get off his fucking phone, who was doing nothing. And like Sean says, I had been that guy in the past who had to go and ask like people, can you please turn your phone off? And they'd be like fucking dicks with it. And you're like, no, like just turn your phone off. Like other people have paid to be here as well. But as I say,
there's a very British thing of you don't want to be the guy who causes a fuss, and you say, and again, you're always worried. You just loudly.
Well, so this guy was on his own. This guy was on his own and had me and someone else in the screen kind of like shout, asking quite loudly, and he just like, and then I saw him get up at the end, so he didn't even wait till like the end credit sequence that you always get in a Marvel movie. He got up and left, and I don't want to make like fleeting generalizations about like guys and like what they wear and how they wear suggests who they are as people and stuff, but I do reckon if I'd gone and said something to him, I probably wouldn't have got a favourable response. I might even, and I was there with my kid, so it was just a bit of a, it just was a really awkward situation where I was like, okay, I completely expected that one time I went, can you turn your phone off? Because most people would have been like, oh fuck, I'm doing something that's negatively impeding the experience of those around me, and I'll put my phone away. But when I went, I was like, you put your phone away, and they chose not to. I was like, and I could see what they're doing. They're on fucking live scores, like looking at their football results and stuff. Because it was like we were at the 3 o'clock showing. So obviously in my head, I'm then like going, fuck. He's looking at live scores. He's going to be doing that all fucking film, because we
come away and bring it is. That's why I don't go to the cinema. That's why I like watching films on my own screen. Yeah. I've got a big telly, and it's enough for me, and I can pause it if I want to. I can go to the loo, I can get a drink and some peanuts and things like this. And I don't have to go. I'd certainly there's my seat doesn't vibrate or kick me in the back or turn me on its side or anything like that. So.
Well, your children have grown up, Andrew. my chair still do that.
On my face as if the dog farts.
But no, and I reckon 4DX. Sonny wants to see IMAX now, though. He was like, "Oh, we've done 4DX, we do IMAX next," but there's nothing really coming out in the next wee while that I'm like desperate to go.
I've done an IMAX movie once, and it was like, it's spectacular, but I wouldn't want to do it all the time.
Yeah.
Again, it's like 3D. It's not something, it's like for certain movies they worked and things like this, but then we were trying to shoehorn it into everything for a while. It was just like I would generally go to the 2D version of a movie rather than I would rather watch it in the house now. I was never really that excited for Captain America, I'll be honest with you. I am really looking forward to Thunderbolts, and I'm massively looking forward to Superman and Fantastic Four now. But yeah, Captain America was that one that didn't really excite me.
It was fine. It was a solid enough movie. It wasn't like the best Marvel movie. It was by far not the worst. But I just got quite annoyed by that. I said that experience. It was quite an expensive experience, and like me and Sonny often go to the cinema in Glenrothes. But I don't know. Like there's that whole thing as well. I remember I went to see. Bring that always comes back to Hanson Doomlop. I remember going to see Hanson with an orchestra, and their sound wasn't quite amazing. And the same thing happened with last year. That's a Big Country. I'm like, if you pay premium to see something and it's just not quite right. And as I say, going to 4DX and like, I don't know, like as I say, I didn't know what I was expecting, but I didn't expect a guy. And like what you're saying, it's 4DX, so you're bouncing around. This guy's on his phone as it's like swinging. It was so fucking distracting, and I'd paid like 45 quid for me and Sonny to be there, and it was just like, like what's going on? Like I'm like that. If my takeaway from that experience is that, like, whereas if I'd paid for like £7 a head to watch it in Glenrothes, I actually wouldn't have been that bothered. Do you know what I mean? I would have adjusted my seat because it's the couches and you can do that. I would have adjusted the seat so the guy's phone wasn't in my line and left it at that. But
I don't know. It would depend on what mood I was in. I think I would have gotten louder and louder. Sometimes me would get louder and louder. Sometimes me would have just went and sat somewhere else. Was it mobbed or?
No, it wasn't mobbed. Actually, I didn't really thought about that. I probably could have sat in front of him.
I thought just
It was just an awkward situation. When you're kids as well, you're like.
Yeah. I've not seen it, and I'll be on Disney before I see it probably.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's quite good. It's alright. There's decent. Harrison Ford is funny because he's very not. It's probably without being very spoilery. Harrison Ford isn't William Hurt, and that was quite distracting. Because they're supposed to be the same guy. Obviously, William Hurt passed away, unfortunately. So he's not Ace Thunderbolt Ross. They brought in Harrison Ford, and Harrison Ford is a very different actor to William Hurt, and it's William Hurt. I'm not getting repeatedly saying the wrong guy's name, isn't it? Like,
William Hurt himself was a replacement. I think in the first one it was
Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott who played him, and was William Hurt the guy in?
William Hurt was an Incredible Hulk. Yeah, he was. So it's been William Hurt throughout the MCU, and then until now, but then Harrison Ford, I love him. But I think he plays William Hurt. He plays Harrison Ford more than he plays the characters which is fine if it's Indiana Jones. Because again, what Indiana Jones and Harrison Ford are quite similar when it comes to like.
Well, if you're the only person to have played River Phoenix and whoever it was in the in the TV show aside who played young Indiana Jones, you're the only person who's played.
When you went to see Solo and you were like, oh, the guy that played Solo was all right, but he wasn't Harrison Ford. Whereas it was like Harrison Ford was just like, I'm just going to go in and do my thing rather than try and.
He's 80. What age is he, John? Is he 82 or something like that? He's going to do. He's going to be Harrison Ford.
He's late 70s, early 80s, yeah.
So he's not going to change very much.
There's
a very good thing because in Indiana Jones and stuff like this, and obviously I remember him being Jack Ryan as well, and he's sort of character. In Shrinking, and I think possibly Jason Segel's a really, really big guy, and that's why I think he's like that. But he looks like such a small guy in Shrinking. And like you say, it might be down to the fact that Jason Segel, that was one of the ongoing jokes in How I Met Your Mother, that he was the smallest one in his family, and he's about 6'3". He's by far the largest of the group. And you see his mum and his dad and his brothers who are all 6'10" or something like that.
Yeah.
So Jason Segel's a really big. Jason Segel, isn't it? Segel.
Jason Segel, yeah.
Segel. He's a really big guy, and he makes Harrison Ford look like a really small old man. In it, and for season 1 he's Shrinking. That's because he has a health thing as well. That it's the part he plays, but he shows more range in Shrinking, I think, than I've seen him in anything. Like he's been Harrison Ford for years. He was Jack Ryan, he was Han Solo, he was Harrison. He was Indiana Jones. He was, Richard Decker,
Richard Kimball,
Dr. Richard Kimball.
Dr. Richard Kimball. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great film, by the way. I rewatched The Fugitives recently. It's a great movie.
It is a banger. It's a good one. Yeah, I love it.
And the follow-up is even better with Wesley Snipes.
U.S. Marshals.
U.S.
You know what?
Marshals.
I actually watched U.S. Marshals again recently, and it's not that bad a film if it wasn't in the same universe as The Fugitives. Had it not been tied to Fugitive, it would have been an okay film.
And it was only Tommy Lee Jones. They could have done it completely. They could have done it as a standalone if it hadn't been the fact that we're going to shoehorn it in. Tommy Lee Jones is the same character.
Does not have like his guys though? Was his crew not his crew from?
No, it had some of the same team from the first one. Yeah,
like the bad guy from The Matrix. He was in both films, wasn't he?
Yeah, Joey Pants.
Yeah.
Joey Pants. I think we were talking about Agent.
No,
the guy Elrond.
The guy that plays Cypher in Matrix, isn't he? Like, it's funny because in The Fugitive he's not an antagonist.
Joey Pantoliano.
Yeah.
Joey Pants.
He's always a total prick and everything, apart from The Fugitive, where he's
in The Sopranos. He's an absolute asshole.
He's a total asshole in The Sopranos. In The Sopranos, it's awkward though because he's a total asshole. But he's how I imagine most assholes attached to the mafia would behave. He's like very.
In The Sopranos, have you watched all The Sopranos, John?
I haven't watched any of it.
Okay.
Oh man, it's good.
Everybody's an asshole. All the main characters are assholes, apart from one or two nice ones.
Even then, they're just a variation of an asshole. Like they're not good people.
There's one or two that are sort of likable characters, but most of them are they're just horrible.
I think the show's quite good as well at making people likable, and then when you lead into them, you then realise later on that they're not likable. Like Polly's a good example where you think he has like episodes where he has like a crisis of consciousness, and then you're like, actually maybe Polly's all right, and then he does something total pricky in the next episode, and you're like,
he's the worst of the lot. He's like the guy who's got no redeeming features at all, and he's the one guy who lives all the way, and he's still alive at the end or something like that. the other guys, like Big Pussy, was sort of a good guy, but he was. He was an FBI informant, and then you've got the other guy that took his son to look at model trains. I can't remember his name, but he worked with Uncle Junior, and he was a good guy. So he gets killed in the sort of finale and stuff like that as well. Sorry for spoiling. 20 years old.
It's just ruining every program for me ever. You should watch it. You should watch it. This is what happens in the season finale.
I don't think you should watch it. People always talk about like the best TV shows of all time, and these days, for a while there it was always The Sopranos. These days it's Breaking Bad is the one they talk about. For a while there it was The Sopranos. Before that, far superior show for me was a show called The Wire, which was a show that they talked about as being one of the great shows, and I fucking loved The Wire. Didn't really like Sopranos. It stuck with it for the full season, but there's no rewatchability. I would never rewatch it again.
However, the greatest series has just been dropped on Amazon Prime. Unfortunately, not in widescreen. Dawson's Creek. Dawson's Creek seasons 1 to 6. It's just been released on Amazon Prime. Thank you. Yes.
I was flicking through channels the other day there, and I came across a thing called Donovan's Canyon, and it's Donovan's Canyon. Maybe it's Chad Michael Murray all grown up, and it's like a fucking Hallmark TV show. Sort of thing. A woman was a doctor, and then she's left her job in the big city to go back.
Also in love with a Christmas tree farmer.
She's singing there's the local handyman who's helping her out, and he's like, "Oh, you be careful with him though. He's a bad boy," and it's Chad Michael Murray.
I remember I tried to rewatch Dawson's Creek recently and got very annoyed with one particular episode where I think it's Dawson and fucking Joey are trying to find each other, and it's just I know it's set in the late 90s. It's set in the late 90s, and like she's trying to go to one location, and as she enters the location, he's often just leaving it, so they're always just missing each other. The whole episode is based around the trope of like them trying to like get information on a situation and then like missing each other, so they're trying to build up each other's days but missing each other so they don't, and then obviously the episode finishes with them meeting in their standard meeting place, and the journey being more interesting than like the destination and the conversation that they'd have if they actually met each other. But if you made that TV show now, it would just be like, where are you? Shops. Okay.
There's a lot of, I mean, again, it was a TV show of its time. I loved it, don't get me wrong. Loved it, watched every episode more than once. Don't know if I would go back and rewatch it again. These days I am looking for something new, sort of thing, but...
I go back sometimes and then just stop watching through. I started watching the OC again. I think I got towards the end of season 1 and just never went back to any more episodes.
I only watched one season. They were always trying to recapture. Even Dawson's Creek to a certain extent was trying to recapture Beverly Hills 90210. And Dawson's Creek did it better because it had more likable characters. And I think that's what most of these shows.
I think they did it on magic as well. I sort of remember Dawson's Creek moving away from the creek. And that being like a total kill, like season 3 or 4 when they all went to uni.
Season 4.
I said, this is shit now. And I think OC was the same when they killed off one of the main characters. I remember there being one more season after they killed off. Is it Misha Barton? She went off to Hollywood or something. and they killed off her, and
she went off the rails in her personal life apparently, and then just decided to write her off the show. Yeah, and then it lasted like a shortened season. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the thing with Dawson, again, much as I love Dawson's Creek, there was always a case. I think from season one, like similar to they did in Lost, where there was like these are the two characters, and it's going to be like 5 years of them getting to know each other and stuff like this. And it was always like that Joey and Dawson were the 30 star-crossed lovers that were going to make it. But from the first season, it was quite obvious that Dawson's best pal was more likable, better looking, just an all-round.
Better ice hockey.
More interesting character, better ice hockey player, just a more interesting character. And now he's a doctor on a boat. What the fuck's that all about? So, yeah, I liked it, but I'll probably not go back to it.
That's fair enough. I was going to,
I'm nearly finished. I'm on the final season now of Peaky Blinders, which I've been chipping away at for a couple of years.
That's a great one.
Cillian Murphy's, I'm not going to say he's one of the most underrated actors of his generation, because I know he's very, very highly rated.
I think he was until Oppenheimer, and then Oppenheimer's made him like a household name. But yeah, that's great. I just fucking love that meme where he's like, why you do that? Huh? And she's like, why? Because we can, and if we can, we do. It's like yes.
An Oppenheimer thing. I've not seen Oppenheimer yet, but
no, that's a Peaky Blinders, isn't it? Why do you have to go and do that? And he's like, hey. And she's like, why do you have to do that? He's like, why? Because we fucking can.
It suffers for the same problems though as Sopranos a wee bit. The characters are horrible. You're supposed to, he's got two brothers, Arthur and John, in the show, and they're both fucking assholes.
Yeah.
Fundamentally.
You need to get away, John. I can see life squidding about.
No, I'm okay just now.
No worries. So to wrap up, I think we said 45 minutes, so we'll maybe start wrapping it anyway.
Aye, so you were talking. So you talked about shrinking and Severance, John. Is that all you've been up to? Any?
Pretty much. So I can think of that. I have been watching Reacher. I have been watching the weekly episode drops. Purely because by the time I get around to watch another episode of something, a week's gone past anyway. Because there's so much to watch. Like if I watch like all 22 episodes of Shrinking, I'm like, oh, there's a new episode of Reacher. I'll watch that. So in a way, it's not too bad that they drop weekly, because it gives me time to catch up. Whereas I think what happened, the reason I haven't watched any of the Netflix Marvel shows apart from the first season of Daredevil was they just kept dropping 10 episodes of everything. And I was like, right, okay, so I've got to watch 10 episodes of Jessica Jones before I watch 10 episodes of The Punisher, before I watch Luke Cage, before I watch...
That was the issue with those ones in particular.
A little bit much, yeah.
I am enjoying like the weekly thing with... I've watched the first 2 episodes of Daredevil, really good, and I recommend it. And actually, it does exactly what you just said there, John. It does like welcome itself to like episode 1 and 2 can be watched back to back, and episode 2 leaves you with something to get excited about for the next one. It's good. Totally recommend them.
Maybe I should watch them as well, because I do get like when I watch like recently I've watched The Night Agent and the Recruit. Was it The Recruit?
The Recruit, yeah.
And you watch them in a week, 2 episodes a night for 5 days or something like that, and it does get a wee bit exhausting. So watching one episode and then maybe waiting for a week would be a wee bit better.
We talked about this before as well.
I will talk about one other thing, which I'm very, very late to the show, because I think I didn't have Sky and it was on Sci-Fi, but it's just dropped on Netflix. Is Resident Alien. I've just
that's great. Alan Tudyk's amazing in that,
I think it wasn't on any of the channels that I had. So, but it's this week I think it dropped on Netflix, and I'm a couple of episodes in and enjoying that immensely. Alan Tudyk's he's
great.
Well, if you like Alan Tudyk, you should check out Con Man. It's on Amazon. I think it was free. Con Man, which I helped kickstart season 1. Thank you very much. And it's Alan Tudyk and Nathan Fillion playing versions of themselves.
That was the guy who went to the conventions all the time. And there was loads of Casper Van Dien was.
It's a sitcom, isn't it? It's a sitcom about like former It's like the way
Sean Astin. Was it Sean Astin?
Yeah, they had their own show called Spectrum, and they were both on the show, and it got cancelled. But Nathan Fillion went on to be more popular, and Alan Tudyk stuck at all these little conventions and doing weird voiceovers and video games and stuff.
And Nathan Fillion's character going to be like a bigger name in like a police procedural or something like that. They do that thing.
I've not seen that. Have you seen The Recruit? I've never watched The Recruit.
The Rookie.
The Rookie, sorry, not The Recruit. I don't know The Recruit. Sorry.
Yeah. I've seen the first 4 or 5 episodes, and it's fine, but it's kind of.
I like it. The Amazon and Netflix are doing very, very similar shows now. So The Rookie, I think it's better than The Night Agent, which was all right. Amazon did one called Citadel. We Priya.
No, we're talking about the Rookie with Nathan Fillion, the police procedural show.
Oh no, I'm thinking of the what's the one? What I'm thinking.
You're thinking of the Recruit. The Recruit, yeah.
I think it's like that. It's the guy who was Atom Smasher.
Yeah, Nathan Centineo or something. Yeah. No, the Rookie is a police procedural, like 22 episodes a season. Nathan Fillion is the oldest police rookie ever and stuff. Yeah.
Again, I try not to watch like these ones that are 22 episodes. Story of the week get really tiresome for me. That's why I didn't. I
want to think it was better because it was Nathan Fillion.
Like that. It's just no.
So
don't get me wrong. He's good in it, but the show is just very. There's all the tropes. There's the older guy and having the affair with the younger lady, and it's just like.
I've seen like it keeps popping up on my Instagram, but there's a scene where they're investigating a noise disturbance, and there's like a punk band in a garage that keep playing music to him. I don't know if it's maybe a 2 or 3 story or 2 or 3 episode arc, but they have a song that they keep singing to Nathan Fillion about him being like that a cop daddy, and then being like his dad bod, and I would say and they keep asking them to. It's just this really catchy song. I'll send that. See if I can find a clip for you guys. But it's just like I was like, oh, that actually looks hilarious. But then that's all I've seen of this entire 5 season, 22 episodes a season show is this one particularly funny scene. I'm like, oh.
I have that thing as well, John. There's 110 episodes out there. I'm not prepared mentally to start a 110 episode show, but Nathan Fillion's in The Recruit as well, isn't he?
Is he? Yeah.
Season 2, he plays the FBI director. No, the FBI, CIA director guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'll probably. I'm not going to say I'll never get around to watching it. It's one of those things that might, if it comes up, I might. But probably. Yeah,
it's fine. It's what it is. Or you could watch 22 seasons of Grey's Anatomy. Whatever.
I watched again. I liked ER, and I didn't mind these things, and I watched probably 4 seasons of Grey's Anatomy, and I think Gina stuck it out for 10.
It's mad that it's still it's just I watched the first 2 seasons.
They start repeating themselves after no show. I stopped watching Supernatural after 6 or 7 seasons or something like that. I think 7 seasons is a sweet spot for most shows. I've never seen a show that's gone more than 7 seasons. The West Wing went 7 seasons. Smallville went 7 seasons.
Smallville went 10 seasons.
Did it? All right, okay.
It
felt like it. The last 3 were rough.
Yeah, so that's I think 6 or 7 seasons is about as much as you should go.
Like a natural endpoint as well. I think that's why I generally think Cobra Kai will go down as one of the best shows ever made, because it held on to a legacy, but then it finished. We're going to get these legacy movies and stuff like that. But
Smallville had Alfred Gough and Miles Miller, and I think they left after about 4 or 5 seasons or 7 seasons. I think that's probably why I'm getting thinking. Again, like you say, they fall off the cliff. Supernatural had Eric Kripke for the same, 5 seasons or something like that. He told the story he wanted to tell and then walked away, and then that was everything after that was tagged on. I think it's going back to what I was talking earlier on about long form storytelling. These days, 10, you're more likely to get 3 or 4 seasons of 10 episodes. Brilliant. 10 seasons of 22 episodes. Smallville, that must be over 200 episodes of that.
There's a lot, yeah.
It screams filler to you as well. There's
mid-season filler. Every one of those shows always has filler episodes in the
Oh
middle.
yeah.
You know, they could be,
I find these days, even with 10-episode tentpole seasons, you know, I found the Star Wars episodes, the first couple episodes great, then the middle dipped, and then it got great at the end again. And I'm talking all the shows. Obi-Wan had filler episodes.
Yeah.
The Acolyte, every episode was a filler episode. Even Skeleton Crew had a couple episodes in the middle where it was kind of like, you know, even that was fantastic. So it's kind of like, yeah, there's filler everywhere.
Well, I think Apple are better. Like Severance doesn't feel like there's any filler episodes. You know, and there's, you know, Slow Horses on Apple doesn't have any filler episodes, things like that. It tends like, you know, they're not making 10 episodes when they can get away with 6. And I think that's what, you know, a lot of things are, they feel like they've got to get 10 or 12 or something like that. Like you talked about again, Jeff, earlier on, people, they used to be chasing syndication, which you only get after you've done, I can't remember the number, but it's like 100 episodes or something like that.
I think it was 100, yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So they were always chasing, trying to get that many episodes, and that's why you had all these fillers. And I think, yeah, a tight 6 or a tight 8.
Yeah, I'm watching it. It's a funny one as well. I've been watching The Handmaid's Tale with Claire, like, and it's like, I mean, there's like 5 seasons, and we're halfway through season 3, but it just takes so long to get through an episode. And I think they've got the sweet spot, and they've probably filmed like 7 episodes and then made the scenes last so long.
Yeah,
you know, like there's so many just folks sitting staring into space in an episode of that. Yeah, that's so good. Are you guys? Is there any you need to get away, John?
Yeah, it's getting towards that time out where my eyes start to get a little bit kind of crinkly.
No,
starting to draw, so.
We'll get it. That's fine. We'll call it anyway. I need to
start it out. Yeah, good. Should be
it's good fun.
Should be good again next week.
Yeah.
If we're all up for it.
Definitely. Right. Thanks so much, guys. Everyone have a lovely weekend. Whatever you're doing. I'll catch up with you soon.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.